Let me move to Massimo Medugno and then we'll go back to Ulrich Lebele as soon as we can. Massimo, welcome. What's the job of Assocarta when thinking about recyclability on the national stage?
Well, first of all, good morning. Thanks very much for having me. I listened to Mr. Briganti's speech, and I know that this event is having a fantastic turnout. I'm very pleased to hear that, because this is a very topical moment for the industry as a whole. So we've been working on recyclability since the very beginning of times, literally, because we have a material that is quintessentially a green source. So the raw material is excellent. It comes from a natural source. And thanks to technology, which has a long-lasting track record, really, well, thanks to this technology, we can optimize the life cycle of these fibers, and we do that through recycling solutions. We do this in practice because as far as recycling goals are concerned in the packaging industry, and these are EU goals, were met at national as well as European level. Having said that, though, a very important aspect to that is the topic of recyclability, because it implies some quality standards that make it possible to this material to have the best possible yield. Let's just fancy that paper can be recycled up to 7 times. So it's very advantageous. So recyclability has a lot in common with eco-design solutions. Our efforts, and when I say our, as Ulrich will state later, are European goals. So we're working on drafting guidelines on recyclability and to differentiate the recycling process faced with specific initial quality standards. So in addition to the concept of eco-designing, we're also working on the possibility of improving recycling per se. So the more these materials are unique, the easier recycling will be. So we have to cut down the use of other materials, we have to optimize the use of other materials, and we need to raise the quality of fiber-based materials, and this can be done with the technology, with the nanotechnology, and also with innovative design solutions.
If I may, the foundation of circular economy that really prompted this whole new concept is the assumption that industrial consumers and private consumers should be valorized, both of them, and we shouldn't always be looking for hybrid solutions. They are both worthwhile. And I guess that going on alone right now is almost impossible in this idea of integrated industry and sustainable industry. Chains must be conceived as integrated chains and as circular as possible. Am I right? I was saying that these new challenges, this idea of a circular economy, in a way force us to not go alone our way. We need to build networks throughout the supply chain among businesses.
Yes, indeed. And this brings me back to what the chairman stated earlier. I mean, we have different types of stakeholders in this supply chain. So paper manufacturers, cardboard manufacturers, etc., and printers. So we have to think about the type of technology that we want to roll out, and we need to use Industry 4.0 and digitalization at best. There is no just juxtaposition between the digitalization process and the printing and paper industry. If you step into our businesses and you take a look at our plans, you will see that digitalization is heavily promoted, and the lockdown period enabled us to become an essential industry. Obviously, workers had to go to the manufacturing plant, but we had the opportunity of managing some activities remotely, so paper mills, plants, transformers, etc. So at the time of transformation, paper is combined with other materials, such as plastic materials, etc. So this is a very important technological aspect. We have to work on recyclability and the EU-based guidelines, so that I hope Ulrich will talk you through. This is what we're also working on in Italy, because as a matter of fact, in Italy, we had to start working on these subject matters. So the 501 method is an important landmark for a lot of our businesses, and a lot of clients and end users are actually using it. I can't mention any names, but just suffice it to have a look at some supermarket price lists and to turn on TV to see and realize that, sorry, there is an ambulance passing by. Back on the record, so we're using less plastic, we're using more paper, etc. But still, paper is a recyclable material that has a lot of lives. So the strategy of the supply chain is perfecting itself. In Italy, similarly to the whole of Europe, there is a system that manages packagings that are paper-based packaging solutions, and whenever these are released to the market, a special contribution is to be paid in order to manage collection and recycling of the very raw material. So in the next few years, we're going to differentiate this contribution based on the recyclability potential. This is a very topical issue, I believe, because I think that it is very well spelled out within the framework of EU guidelines that we are in the process of implementing. So, on the one hand, we need to differentiate this contribution, this co-pay, if you will, based on the recyclability potential. And we're doing that because this has direct repercussions on eco-design, on packaging, designing solutions, and also repercussions on the topic of how to engineer a new piece of equipment, new machines, new packaging designs, and we need the whole supply chain to work together. We need the whole industry to work together.
Maybe this is trivial and it is obvious, but as long as we do not have an economic feedback, these efforts from businesses towards sustainability is, in a way, just something that is made out of one's goodwill. We do need rules, right?
Yeah, I would like to take advantage of Ulrich's presence, and I know that he is having some technical glitches, but in recent years we've seen some changes happening in the packaging industry. Managing packaging solutions has gotten more expensive and more burdensome in general. And suffice it to go shopping in supermarkets. It's very manifest, and maybe we're experts and we realize that quite easily, but we tend to lighten the weight of packagings, both paper and cardboard-based packagings, thus preserving the same performance level. But we are reducing the weight, we are reducing the consumption rate, we are reducing the recycled quantity of paper and cardboard, and so on and so forth. This is already happening within the industry. Let's think about household waste. The cost of of packaging is increasing, and the industry is very sensitive to these topics. And you can see it actually from the balance sheet, or from a business profit and loss account. And citizens are called upon to pay for this co-pay, and whenever this tax or co-pay will be cross-matched with the quantity of waste that is disposed of, this might have different economic repercussions, so much so that packaging materials are sold by a meter.
Well, that's something new, and as a consumer, is something that you notice. If you have ever placed an order online 20 years ago, you see the difference if you compare it to what happens today. It's clear that there has been an effort that has been done both on technology and on materials to change the way packaging works.
Yes, try and order wine, and you'll see the difference in terms of packaging. You can easily realize that things have changed. So you're not going to find the typical materials you were used to, but more recyclable materials, corrugated cardboard, for example, that is very thin, that has a high barrier potential, for example. So there are differences that are very, very graphic, and recyclability is facilitated by all these solutions. And I repeat, this is already happening. We still have to go a long way, but this is happening in Italy and in other EU countries. So during the lockdown, we realized this very clearly.
Yes, and it was possible to see that because we've increased, probably the role of online trade has increased, and this phenomena has become clearer for all of us.